So I am on my way to Smurf in Manchester, the Sanjay Mortimer Rep Festival, but I'm stopped off here at Oxford to see our friends at E3D. Let's go in and take a look at what they've got going on with our friend Georgia.
Awesome. Hi guys, come and take a peek inside E3D. So this is our dispatch area. This is where we receive all the orders, then we pack them up, and then we ship them out all over the world. This is our main dispatch area. We also have a giant warehouse, which maybe we'll go and have a look at as well. But this is where we keep all of the flagship products so that we can receive an order and pick it as efficiently and quickly as possible. All of the bamboos and Prusa hot ends can be seen there. Revo nozzles.
So many Revo nozzles.
So many Revo nozzles, yeah. There's even some V6 triple sock packs up there. Still sell a ridiculous amount of those, unbelievably. So this machine here is our label machine. So we can line up all of the Prusa tubes in there and then plonk it through and it will apply all of the labels. We ship thousands and thousands of these bad boys a month, so it's really handy to have this machine to make it as quick as possible for everybody.
Yes.
And then coming on through here, this is taking you into our production area. The main lines we have here is our Revo production line, and all of the Prusa and bamboo nozzle assemblies will also happen through here.
So there's a lot of customized machinery here specific to your production needs?
Yes, absolutely. So the engineers, make all of the testing rigs and any custom equipment that we need to make sure we can do the job properly. Here is in the middle of making a batch of Revo heater cores.
Revo in the raw.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. All the production happens here. So yeah, as I was mentioning, we've got the main dispatch area through there, but we also have quite a bit, well, it might not be quite big for the American people watching this video, but relatively big UK-sized warehouse. It's just standard generic warehouse stuff, but yeah. Full with lots of old antique E3D products, t-shirts, all of our marketing stuff is tucked away in the corner as well. And then up there on the mezzanine, all of our boxes. And you can see the old, actually this is quite cool, the old E3D logos up there. The evolution of the E3D logo. That top one is a real throwback. So here in the workshop, we have our E3D printer graveyard. Poor little guys. So yeah, the engineers, every printer that we have at E3D is always named by the engineers. So there might be some funny ones along here. Got a Shaz and Brenda.
Here is some of the machinery used to make things here at E3D. There's lathe, very nice manual milling machine, Tormach.
Right.
So what are you doing here?
So I am just checking the nozzle dimensionally. There we go.
Well, I imagine when you're taking such minute measurements that any misplacement could.
Correct.
Yeah.
Bit of dust.
But as long as it says okay in the end.
Exactly.
Let's see, we've got a Prusa Mark IV nozzle on there.
Yeah.
So that scans. Then you can see
You see the results.
here to give you the results, and that's showing up in red because this is one that's known to be not good, but for production it would show that would say okay, and we would know that that is a nozzle that's ready to be shipped.
So here Ben is inserting tips into the carriers for our Revo Obsidian nozzles. Cool, so we're gonna very quickly show you how we engrave our high flow obsidian bamboo hot ends in-house. How many of these do you reckon you've done?
Over the years?
Yeah. Many, many tens of thousands, I'm sure.
Tens of thousands, I
Yeah.
think we've yeah, definitely. I've done all of them, but
Most of them.
most of them, yeah, one way or another.
Firstly, questions about, well, two areas. One is the Batchworks project, and the project that we've done with those guys, which was an Innovate funded project, which is a UK government funding scheme. I'll kind of go into that in a moment. And then the second one is the Scale Up program as well that we've managed to win a place on, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
So first, I guess I'll cover what Innovate is. So Innovate's a UK government agency set up to help innovation in and around the UK. They have various different projects, from technology projects to science-based projects, kind of medical field within the medical field, things like that, environmental, all sorts of different things. And it's set up basically to, I think there are similar systems in the US to help fund, existing businesses or startups who have an idea that they think will make a real impact in the world. Anyway, so we have done Innovate projects before. They're either fully funded or part funded. And yeah, we've done a couple before. The first one that we did many years ago, which was around designing a printable peak. So the first printable peak was done by us and another company called Vitrex in Exeter in the UK. And we collaborated on both the material and the print platform to be able to make a printable peak material. And that was really interesting. We learned an awful lot of information out of that. Various products came out of that, both material that they went on to manufacture, I think, and sell, a lot of which is still available now. And we also learned an awful lot out of that project around Nozzle X, if you can cast your mind right back to Nozzle X days. So that was the first project that we did. Second one was with Batchworks. Batchworks came and spoke to us. They'd managed to secure a bit of funding for the design of this fully 3D printed 3D printer, pretty much fully 3D printed 3D printer, which was actually always, it's always a dream, right? To create a printer that is truly self-replicating. They'd gone through a huge amount of design kind of process, getting to the point where they had an almost finished printer. We then kind of assisted them for several months. The project was about a year long, where we took over one area of the printer, and they worked very much on another. So they were working around the kind of the base and the air management, the airflow management, and a big piece around the software that runs these as a print farm. And we used our expertise in extrusion systems and motion systems. That if you've been following us for a wee while, then you'll know that we like extrusion systems, nozzles, and motion systems. So we worked with them for, like I said, about a year. The project ended about 6 months ago, three months, a period of time ago. And out of that project, we have ended up working now collaboratively with them in generating print farms. So this is one of the first kind of print racks that we've created. Over the next few months, we'll be creating another bunch. And they are, I don't know what percent by weight, I don't know, by something. They're a very, very large proportion of them are 3D printed. And yeah, so the base, the frame, the gantry, I'll just hop up on this little stand, show you. And then the X carriage is also 3D printed. It's got a linear rail sitting behind it to kind of add strength and allow the tool head to move around. It moves forwards, whoop, knocks the part off, which then falls down into a handy little bucket. And these are parts that are, these are production parts. These are going into a high street store in the UK. And we are the manufacturing partner now, which is really exciting. It's brilliant to see this process of manufacture being used like as we all kind of really thought it would be. The really cool thing about this, and the really interesting piece that kind of drew us towards the project, was the fact that it was the circular manufacturing process that goes into these parts, where the customer, once they've finished using them or they want to design a new part, instead of just throwing them in the bin, they return them to the manufacturer, us and the filament supplier. They grind it, turn it back into filament again, probably add a bit of virgin material to it, and then the spools come back here and we reprint new parts from that. So it's very, very circular in that respect, which is really cool and something that is very close to our heart. So that's Batchworks. They're a London-based company. Really great couple of guys running that business, and we get on really well with them. So the next thing, which is again another an Innovate thing. Because we, as a company, we've been doing some really cool research. We've got some fantastic products out there. The company is scaling and growing, and has the capacity to grow even bigger, exponentially. Exponential growth is the terminology that they use, that they're looking for. They were put onto us as look, give these guys a ring, see if you can get accepted onto this project, or this kind of bit of funded thing that they do, and apply. And they're looking for very specific things, growing businesses, innovative businesses, companies that are doing different things, really changing the way that the UK PLC is looking at manufacture and generating revenue. And we applied. Luckily enough, we managed to get accepted onto that program, which for us was a really big kind of pat on the back. The last few years have been a real kind of up and down with products. The market's changed an awful lot. We kind of re-looked at the business and how we're running, looked at our customers, making sure that we're working really nicely with all of our customers. And we're in a really great place, and it's an amazing kind of pat on the back from Innovate to say that we are now deemed as one of these kind of growing company that has the capability, the capacity for this kind of exponential growth, especially in this market. So with that, we get a group of external scale-up directors. They come along, they sit in board meetings, they ask us those difficult questions. We ask ourselves an awful lot of difficult questions on a daily basis, in boardrooms, in innovation meetings and all sorts of things. But these guys just provide an external viewpoint. They ask the questions that you don't think to ask, and it's been really, really interesting so far. It's a 12-month program. You've got access to these people for 12 months, it's been really interesting so far. They've kind of peeled back the lid of some things that we didn't think that we'd be looking at, and providing some opportunities and ideas around other things. So that's been really interesting, and that's kind of it. That's Innovate and E3D in a bit of a nutshell. I hope that covers most of the questions.
Yeah,
thoughts.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see E3D getting that kind of attention. It's been very interesting looking more into what's going on with the company at this point, because you had managed to scale very well from the DIY printer community that we all sort of came from
Yeah.
into the, we'll say, commercial, the bamboo space and like all of those things.
It's changed beyond recognition from what it used to be, right? We were all makers at heart, and I love tinkering. There's bits and pieces of kind of extrusion and PCBs lying around here that we pulled apart many years ago and built into some form of 3D printer. And that was amazing. And the industry wouldn't be nowhere near where it is right now if it wasn't for that. If the open source community wasn't there to provide the iterations around printer design and around software and hardware and all of the things, if that open source community wasn't there at the beginning, we would know there's no way that the printers that you see now on the shelves they just wouldn't exist. Or they would exist, but maybe in a further 5 years. So 2026 wouldn't look like it the way that it does now. But yeah, and things have really changed. Over the past 5 years, almost beyond recognition, right? From what we knew before, where the Prusa printers, the amazing Prusa printers that are out there now that are still doing an incredible job working, in factories and doing all of the amazing things. We've got Creality in China bringing some amazing product out, and then the newcomer bamboo kind of comes in out of left field, and I think that it's really interesting to see how the market is adapting to that, how the customer base is adapting to that, because they're no longer, the guys and girls that these people still exist, but they no longer make up the vast majority of the market of the makers, the people that love really getting into the nitty gritty of a printer and pulling it apart and changing various bits and pieces. So, and they're very much more they will go to a manufacturer to ask for a product or an upgrade or a whatever. And servicing that new market has been a real learning curve for us. It's not something that we had done until we had to, right? And so that's been a real learning curve for us over the last couple of years. And I think we're doing a really good job, building up relationships, really strong relationships with as many people as we can. At the end of the day, all we want to do is look at changing the way that humanity manufactures goods. If we can nail that, if that can be on my tombstone, then rock and roll. We've done our thing, and I'd be a very, very happy chappy if we can say that we've done that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I've found so pervasive in just the time that I've been spending here, is that it's not just we're going to create the next hot end or we're going to come up with a better nozzle technology. It really is, you want to change how things are manufactured. Yeah. And it's fantastic.
Yeah. It's cool. And it's been such a ride. Yeah. With meeting some amazing people along the way. And I always say this, the company's great, I love E3D, the product's wonderful, but it's the people that you get to meet in the course of doing business, whether it's in E3D or at shows all over the world. That community vibe still very much exists. It's totally there. There is now this additional B2B side to it, but I still think that it won't progress. Certain aspects of the industry won't progress if it doesn't have the backing of the guys and girls in their shed hacking printers apart and coming up with new crazy ideas. It will always be a part of what 3D printing is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.